welcome to North Youth Media. Whether you're a student, you're a parent, or a youth motivator, our hope is to reach students where they are, to give families an inside look into the series, and to also help open dialogue with their students. My name's Alex, and I have our special guest, who's no longer a guest anymore, Adam Myers. So he is the father, he is the youth pastor here, and he is a student motivator. And today, just real quick, what we're talking about, we want students to know that no matter what happens in their family, that they have a choice to choose peace. So we hit a big topic of divorce today.
Yes.
So actually, before we go down that route, I mean, is there anything that came up this week that was exciting, that something to tell people about, tell the students about?
You know what? This week, I don't think there was anything, which is exciting. Sometimes it's just nice to not have anything going on.
That's okay.
But I take it back, and it's still a good thing. We had our first summer camp meeting.
Oh, that's right.
This week. Summer camp is coming
summer
up.
Camp is coming up.
So we had our first meeting, and I was going to say it's only February, but it's actually now March.
Right.
But, it's going to be here, man. It's going to be here in 4
I
months.
mean, February was a long month.
It was.
this year.
We had
so
a little bit of an extra day there.
An extra day.
So
I was doing some stuff and getting some stuff ready on the computer with working on other things, and it was 11:04 on February 29th when I realized that we were on the last extra day of February. I had no idea that.
Oh man!
I had no idea. I was just going along February. Like, when is March going to hit?
You had extra time.
I had extra time.
You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
I guess there's always 4 years from now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I get that day back in 4 years.
In 4 years,
But-
you could take advantage of the extra day. Because
There it is.
It's not always next year.
Yeah.
It's always 4 years from now.
4 years from now. So that's 365 times 4. I'm not going to do the math, but you can do the math.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get started. So we hit the topic of divorce, but I think we looked at it from a biblical standpoint. So before we get too biblical, let's get a little bit fun.
Yeah.
Not this can be a hard subject, but fun can be fun. What would be like a best emoji to describe your current family state right now?
Oh man, I would do a little boy, a little girl, poop emoji, poop emoji, poop emoji.
Because there's just poop everywhere?
Well, I've got a 2-year-old, so put an extra little one in there. The 2-year-old, there's a lot of poop because it's 2-year-old, but the 6-year-old and the 9-year-old have just been acting like turds. Just fighting all the time, brothers and sisters.
I get it. That's that's a good state to be in, but it's a little turmoil there, because it's
always
for me
fighting.
when you said that, though, I have picture poop everywhere.
Yeah, well, it feels like it. It feels like there's poop everywhere. All I'm doing is cleaning up all these messes I'm making.
Well, okay.
So, just when you're 6 and 9 and it's cold outside and you're stuck inside, guess we're just going to fight.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that's what the Myers household emoji looks
Yeah.
like. What about you, man? What's your emoji?
Let's see. I was thinking about it, and when we talked about it with the small group, I didn't have one just yet. But what they were bringing up kind of brought up some things for me. So I think I would pick the like lady and guy together, and then the little kid emoji, and then I would pick a house emoji, and then with the door closed emoji, and then there's like the older kid emoji, and he's not getting the picture. We want him to move out. He's 18, and he won't yet. He keeps coming back. We keep changing the locks, and he keeps figuring out how to get back in. We don't know what to do, so please.
Oh man.
Just mostly kidding, but that's kind of where we're at in our family state. We have 3 adults in our household and a teenager, and everyone's
trying to become an adult.
Yes, he's trying to become an adult, and everybody has their standpoint from wherever their argument is.
Yeah.
Whether it's food, taking out the trash, dealing with the dogs, watching the TV, because we weren't a very big TV family, so we have one in our bedroom and one in the living room. That's it. And so when 4 people want to watch 4 different things, that could cause issues.
Yeah.
But if he moves out, then he can buy his own TV.
There you go.
Anyways.
Then you can put a TV in his room, and then you got 3 people, 3 TVs.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Well, if he moves out, then I can create my man cave.
There you go.
So, and then I'll put like 2 or 3 TVs in there.
Oh, that's the answer right there.
Yes.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think after hearing your problems, I'll stick to my poop emotion problems.
There's poop everywhere.
I'll keep
okay with
it.
that.
I'll just keep that.
Yeah. So okay, so what can make it feel like peace is impossible when family's going through something tough, like divorce? So I know we kind of hit surface levels. So now if we hit something like divorce, what would that look like?
I think it's hard because obviously something's happened that has created change and it's significant, but nobody wants to, I think, acknowledge that change.
Yeah.
Everybody's scared to say it out loud, so they're just trying to make everything feel like it's normal.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah. So the only instance I felt with divorce was really more of like my mom and my dad, and so I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him or have very good memories of him because I was very, very young. And so I think my mom felt the need to just keep it under wraps because I think she was trying to make sure I was safe and I was happy and I was having, still living my life and not having to deal with that divorce that had happened, a split of the two. And, so, the piece with that was more, I think for my mom, to me, is more protection. And for them, to be honest with you, I've never gotten the courage to really ask my mom about that whole thing. I just know of my dad and all that. But, I think she was just trying to keep that level of happiness as life continued on.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do that as parents, right? We love our kids and we want our kids to be safe, but divorce, or even if it's not divorce, if it's just something big, cancer, death, job loss, transition, sometimes things change. Well, they do change when that happens, and I think our problem is we try to hold on to what we had, but what we had doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
It will never exist anymore. All we can do is try to build something new. And I think that's where that frustration comes. We're trying to hold on to that, and that's where we have this lack of peace, because it's hard to find peace in that. There's a lot of tension in trying to hold on to something that really doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. With using some of my the small group that I was in today, without using their names, one of the things that one of the students says was, not to bring it up so quickly and talk it through so quickly. Everyone's quick to, okay, this was happening, let's talk it through, and then run down the outline of it. And he was saying, I would like time of just quietness and let me work through it before I get to that point.
To process it.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, that's good. It's wise, because how many times do we experience a massive change, and instead of recovering from the trauma of that, we just jump in to try to fix it, and really we're not in any condition to do that. It's good.
Yeah, that's where me and my wife differ a lot too. Whenever she sees some sort of turmoil or differences, she would like to work it out right then and there, because I think she doesn't want it to continue that way. I'm the opposite. I'm with the student. I like to just take time to process it and work through it, and then for me that gives me time to kind of think all different angles. So then when we have that conversation, I can understand what angle the other person is coming from, or my wife is coming from, or whatever. So
I'm definitely a fixer. That's where I land. I want to get it fixed right away, and I feel like I've gotten better at that as I've gotten older. My wife is somebody like you, that she needs to just let it sit and settle.
Right.
And, I think there's a balance in all of it, but when there's big things, it's definitely good to. It is trauma.
Yeah.
I almost think of it like being in a car accident. When you're in a car accident, there's trauma in your body, and because of that, you need to let your body heal before you can take that next step. If you rush that process, you're actually going to end up hurting yourself more. And our emotional bodies are the same thing. We should take some time and just think, oof, all right, that hurt. What do I need to do next?
So, bringing God into it, so we can a biblical standpoint of it. So what would it look like to trust God for peace on the inside when there's no peace showing on the outside?
I think that's why perspective is so important.
Oh man, students do this all the time, and I want to shake them and say, no, there's more to it. They always, when I say they have a standpoint, they see an argument and they see it and they want to stand firm on where they're at. But if they just move a quarter way around the mountain, they can see, wait a second, there's more to this whole picture.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah, and you got to live a little bit too. That's the thing that's hard for students. They've not gone through a lot. So, I mean, some of them have, but a lot of them, every experience is a first experience, and so that's what they only know. But if you live long enough, you're going to get these experiences that you're going to gain, and then when you start to get these experiences, you can reference them when you're going through stuff. And so I think perspective is such a big thing. We have to remember that what I'm feeling right now isn't necessarily what I'm going to be feeling tomorrow or the week after or the month after that.
Right.
And I have to give God a chance to do what God can do.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important to be a part of a church family. That's why it's important to be here at Floor One. That's why it's important to be in a group. That's why it's important to be consistently reading Scripture, because it's in the moments. Like, you can't just expect to have Scripture there for you. Like, that's not the moment you want to be reading Scripture when you need it.
Right.
Because chances are you're not going to be feeling like reading it. It's the moments where you're feeling good, because in those moments when you're feeling bad, that's where that truth comes out. And I think that's what's so important about our relationship with God, is that in those moments where we're not feeling it, we know enough that He's there. Like, I'm not going to let my emotions deceive me and say, well, I don't feel any peace right now. Maybe there's just not any peace anywhere. Maybe I should just give up. But when you're consistent in your relationship with God, you're able to say, you know what, He's the same God when it's good, and He's the same God when it's bad, and I'm going to trust Him even though I don't feel Him right now.
Yeah.
Because I know that He is true.
It's funny that you say that. So as you were talking about that, it reminded me of like students when they want to take part of something. Something simple like, I guess a while back we used to have a fun squad, and they had these ideas about the type of games that we're going to do, and they're like, oh yeah, we have this and this. I was like, okay, great. Make sure you run through it and make sure it works out before we do it. And then they're like, no, it's good. Or they'll say, yeah, we did it, and they go to perform the game, and it just flops. And they were like, oh man, that didn't turn out the way I thought it did. And it's that mindset of, I don't need, the Bible's there, it's already there, so when I need it, it's going to work out. But it doesn't work out that way. You have to practice through it. You have to practice reading it. You have to practice memorizing some things that remind you of certain things when you're feeling, not feeling God, when you're feeling God, when you're dealing with turmoil. All those things have to come into play before those things happen. If you go through those things happen, you're right. You don't want to, read or learn or anything. You want to. You're in that mindset, and you're trying to get through it on your own almost.
Yeah, it's exactly right. The only reason I know right now that I can trust God in the hard times is because I've been through hard times and God's got me through it. Now, when I went through those hard times at first, I didn't think He was going to get me through it. And I had a lot of doubt and a lot of fear. And then I got through it, and I was like, oh, God was there. God's got me. So, and that's life. I mean, it's this is the things that God does through us throughout everything. I mean, you pick something, and this is how you learn. You got to go through stuff. And so a topic like divorce or brokenness is no different, even though divorce is obviously a very new thing when people go through it. It's still something that you can reference and go, well, God was with me through this and this. I know God's going to get me through this.
Yeah. So actually right now, if you would, stay tuned. We're actually going to take a quick break. We'll be back, and when we'll be back, I will have a challenge for you guys.
Nice.
I got a challenge for you guys. So we know this topic is a little bit tough, so I know it can be hard, especially a hard topic to talk about with your students, but one of the best things you can do is to be observant. So as you talk this topic with your students, keep in mind that you may need to follow up or make a one-on-one throughout the week. Because some of them may want to talk through it right away, and some of them may need time to process it. So at this phase, really, high schoolers are feeling the weight of a whole bunch of different responsibilities. So if that worked out for you guys, and we would love to hear about it. So let us know in the description below how that worked. If it didn't, we want to know that too. Maybe there's a different way we can work through this together, or someone may have something different to add into looking into that. So, and then when you're there, check us out on our socials, say hello, and consider subscribing if you would. Let's continue. So, every family has brokenness somewhere, little, big, medium. What do you think your family could do to handle your brokenness better? Or how do you handle it well?
I think the word's got to be communication.
Yeah.
We gotta talk, and we gotta remember that we're the home team. So we gotta always take care of us, and if we can take care of us, we're gonna be okay everywhere else. So I think that's got to be key. We don't let things go too far. Like, obviously there's got to be time where people just got to process, but
Right.
we don't let things stay buried. We get stuff out, we talk about it, we deal with it together. There is no individuals in the family. We're a team.
Yeah.
I think that's big.
Yeah, for me that was actually my biggest struggle. You know, because I'm the only child. I spent most of my life having friends, but you know that was it. I didn't have very many cousins that were nearby or anything like that, so I spent a lot of time mostly by myself. So whenever I worked through something, it was by myself on my own. So now that I have family, or you know, my wife who's with me, that communication was definitely a barrier because you know, for me, I wanted to work through it on my own. But as we went through those things, communication would have been a whole lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, and I think if you're out there listening and you're a mom or a dad and maybe you don't have good communication with your kids, there's no better time to start than now.
Yeah.
Sit down, have a family meeting, and say, hey, I know this is the way we've done things, but we're not going to do it like that anymore. We're going to be the home team. We're going to take good care of each other.
Yeah.
And that might take some time to build that trust with your student, but I promise if you put the work into it and you create an environment in your house where people can be open and honest and feel safe, it's going to go a long way with your kids.
Yeah, and you know where your kids are. I'm glad you brought that up, because having that communication with them early on makes having communication with them later easier.
Yeah.
Because if you let them kind of be on their own, and then when something comes up and you try to talk to them, they kind of sink back and they're like, this is not normal, I don't want to do this. But previous to that, you're setting the foundations of communication. This is what it should look like. There's been many times where it was something as simple as the videos that they're watching, the type of, we lived in Vegas, so there was billboards of all kinds of ladies in bikinis everywhere, sometimes even less.
Yeah.
So before those questions came up, you know, I planted little questions to find out what they knew, and then I was able to continue the conversation from there. So if I planted, you know, do you know what a bikini is? Oh yeah, you know, my friends were talking about it at school. Okay, what do you feel about it? Well, you know, we had that conversation then on. So when now my daughter's a teenager, my son's 18 and an adult, when things come up, those conversations work out a whole lot easier than having to fight an uphill battle later on.
Yeah, and yeah, that's good. Start early, and if you're late to the game, it's okay. Start now.
Yeah.
Because your kids are gonna be your kids forever.
Oh yeah.
Not just we know once they leave high school, once they graduate, they're probably hanging out in your basement for probably till they're 25. Hopefully not, but
Yeah.
you know, they're gonna be with you for a while, and then they're gonna be parents raising your grandkids. So you know, if anything, help them be better parents so your grandkids aren't turds.
I'm in my late 30s, and my mom still calls me and still makes sure that I'm eating right and I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, Mom, yes, I am. Don't worry.
What the great theologian Mariah Carey say? You'll always be my baby.
Yes, my baby. Yeah, of course. So how can knowing God is with you in your family's brokenness help you deal with it better? So how can knowing God with you and your family in their brokenness help you deal with it better?
Yeah, well, it's faith, and it's believing that God is for you. It's believing that God is bigger than these things. Faith is hope in something we can't see.
Yes.
Right? So listen, it's going to go both ways, okay? So if you're dealing with something, you're like, it's not going to work out. Well, how do you know that? You can't see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think God's going to be there. How do you know that? You can't. You're going to have to make a leap of faith regardless, whether you choose to be faithful in negativity or faithful in positivity. Both of them you can't see. So if I don't know where it's going to go, I would just rather take the step towards positivity. I'd rather take the step towards trusting that God is there. And we shared that verse today in the video. We shared Psalm 46, which is this great verse to share in times of brokenness. And it was just this reminder that God is an ever-present help in times of trouble.
Yes.
God cares for us, and he is always there. And we said this to the students. Just because you don't believe it to be true doesn't mean it's not true. So then lots of things that people haven't believed to be true, but it still didn't change the fact that it wasn't true. So yeah. I think that's the choice we all have to make, in understanding that, I'm gonna I gotta take a leap of faith somewhere. I would rather take it on the positive side than the negative side.
Of course. I mean, man, I think you just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. Because, for me, if I don't travel that positivity side, traveling down the negativity, you end up hurting yourself. Mm-hmm. You hurt the people around you. Any little thing can set you off, trigger you, and but if you take the other route, that positivity, you then learn you can process it better. I think you can understand that God is with you through that and working with you through that. And once we don't put him in that seat or in that picture, you end up just hurting yourself or others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what can you do to fight for peace in your family, even if peace between other members isn't possible? So I guess this is talking more about, like, there's families that don't get along, or not that they don't get along, they butt heads because they're either the same or something comes up and they sibling rivalry or parent kid arguments, and what do we do? So
well, today we said it like this: you can either be the exception or the expectation, right? So the expectation is peace. I mean, Jesus says you can't have peace. So really, you have to decide who you're going to be, because you can't change the way your parents are. You can't change your siblings. You can't change other people, but you can change you. So a lot of people just want to be the exception. They just go, well, I don't have to do that. Right. I don't have to be kind. I don't have to be forgiving. I don't have to pursue peace. I can just do whatever else I want. I'm the exception. I deserve this. Whatever. But that's not true. I mean, somebody has to be the expectation. Somebody's got to raise the bar and live by it. And Jesus actually did raise the bar. He said you should live in peace. He lived in peace with everybody, even especially the people that tried to kill him. He lived in peace with them. And so I think that's what people have to do. I think they have to choose to be the expectation. And one of the things we said today, you can't create peace with your parents, but you can choose to be kind to your dad. Yeah. Right? You can't change your mom's living situation, but you can choose to speak kindness and be patient with her. You can't change how your siblings are going through this, but you can choose to be a safe place. And I think what I would say, if there's parents that are listening that are going through this divorce thing right now, and if you're mom and dad, it's real easy to obviously feel like you need to blame yourself and think, what have I done to my kids, or what have, playing the what ifs games. But even parents that are in divorce right now, trying to help their kids out, be the best mom you can be. Be the best dad you can be. Live in peace with your kids. Try to live in peace with your ex-spouse that you're going through a divorce with, as hard as I know that can be. And I know it's so much easier to say that.
So let me play devil's advocate there. Yeah. You try to live in peace, and you continually try to live in peace, but the other spouse person is either triggered by whatever word you say, or your presence, or anything. So you're there trying to live in peace, but the other person can no longer do that, even though they see that you're doing that. But maybe that even makes them more mad, because you're trying to be the peaceful one. They're like, no, this is not how this is going to work. So where do we, I guess the question is how do we really get through that? Because peace, as you're living through peace, you want to stay there, but at some point you're going to end up falling into that that turmoil.
Well, and I think something powerful happens when you choose to be the expectation, right? You choose to set the standard, and your standard should follow God's standard, because if it's not God's standard, you're just going to get disappointed. And I don't know how it works, because I'm not God, but the Holy Spirit intervenes in your heart, and he creates peace that Scripture says passes all understanding, because you're faithful to what God said. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. There's no easy way around it. You just got to be faithful to it, and you got to make a choice. Just like before, you can choose to be positive or choose to be negative. You have to make a choice to live in peace.
Yeah.
And I believe God will honor that, and I believe God will give you the strength to get through that. And that's where faith comes in. You got to choose to step into that. Anybody can be an exception. Anybody can choose to be negative. Anybody can choose to be mean and unforgiving. But to walk in that, and I think here's the other thing. I think when you lay your head down at night, you know that you did everything. You didn't sell out.
Yeah.
You didn't sell out to the bad path. You didn't sell out to the negativity. And you can lay your head down at night and say, I did everything right. And sometimes that's all you got.
Yeah. It's
hard. It's messy.
And it's there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
You know, I may be throwing my wife under the bus here with the shows that she watches, but you know, every once in a while on the TV there is that the kids who have kids and they're under 18.
Teen Mom?
Yeah, there we go, Teen Mom. And so every once in a while in the show, they do show the meeting of the parents, dropping off the kid, you know, switching parental roles for those 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is. And they, in the very beginning of the season, it was very bad differences and turmoil and all of that stuff. And throughout the seasons as they roll on, there was a few that were divorced that were able to what they call co-parent and do that correctly. And it took them, you know, a long time to get to that point. So, I mean, I got to witness that and see that happen. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel as, you know, you deal with that peace and difference.
There sure is.
So I think it's our last question, man.
Yeah.
We rolled that pretty quickly.
Yeah. I just think you know, we say this a lot on Floor One.
Yeah.
It's not a Floor One original. We stole it from somebody. But you know, in a world where you can be anything, be kind.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do. And that's it. Just be kind. Love people the way that Jesus loved people. And I really believe when you do that, something special happens in your heart through God that you're gonna be okay. I can't tell you how that works. You just got to trust me. You got to do it. You got to take a chance. And why not? What do you got to lose? What do you got to lose to be kind? What do you got to lose to fight for peace? Yeah. You got nothing to lose. Worst thing that happens is you get rejected in it, and then you can always be negative. You can always do that. That's easy. But man, give it a try. Give it a try. Take a chance. Even parents listening, just take a chance. Fight for peace. Even if you're not dealing with divorce, even if you got a couple kids who are turd emojis, like my 6 and 9 year old are right now.
Poop everywhere.
Yeah, poop everywhere. You know, you got a 15, 16, 17 year old that's rebelling. Choose peace. Fight for peace with your kids. Yeah. And I promise you, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I highly agree with that. So, we understand that this could be a sometimes hard topic to go through, to work through. So if you want to continue the conversation in our description, in our comments, or through our socials, or just direct message so it's not out there in social media land, we don't mind bringing on the questions, and we can, we may not have the answers, but we can find people that do. So we know that even in our ministry down here, we have students that are dealing with divorce, and we have leaders that have participated in divorce and are working with us. Mm-hmm. So we can find a good solution for you, or an answer, or give you the Bible verses to help you work through peace.
Yeah,
so
we're all in this together. When you're the body, when you go through something, we go through something. So let's just do it together.
Yeah. All right, and actually that's time for us. So for those of you who are in YouTube land, thanks for watching, and for those of you who are in podcast land, thanks for listening. Please make sure to save us on your video or audio playlist. Also, if you can hit the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and don't forget to be social. Follow us. Say hello.
Yeah. Hello.
No, there it is.
Oh man, I was in thought. I was going to add something great. I was going to say, share.
Yeah.
Sharing's caring.
Yeah, sharing's caring.
I was so caught up in the thought that I missed my line.
Yes, actually, that's a good point. If you know anybody that's in this topic and maybe you are working through some things, feel free to share this video or this audio with them so they can work through it, or bring us the questions and we can help out the best we can. So again, whether you're a student, parent, or youth motivator, our hope is to reach students where they are give families an inside look into the series, and to help open dialogue with their students. This is North